All right, guys. It's a little after 6:30. We'll go ahead and get kicked off. Welcome, everybody, to this year. Hopefully, it'll be a regular year as much as possible. We're going to try to have as much regular things happen that we can. There's going to be some changes made, but we're going to try to keep it as regular as possible, back like it used to be. So, Mike, you want to get up and kind of talk about what you're here for today?
Hi guys, welcome back. As you know, you'll hear more about this, but you've been seeing emails from me throughout the year asking you to pay your dues before we actually get started. Most of you done that, and you don't know how much I really appreciate that. Tyler chapter dues are still $35, only for members 2 years and forward. I know there's a bunch of new guys that were in the room over there. They'll be walking in here. I get this question every year about 50 times. If you are a new Tyler chapter member, you've never officiated football in your entire life, you do not owe Tyler chapter dues. So when we talk about owing dues, that does not apply to you if you are a new member in the Tyler chapter for the first time ever for football. Now, if you came from Amarillo or somewhere like that, you will owe Tyler chapter dues. Not a brand new member who's never officiated football. But those of you guys who have not paid dues, I would appreciate it if you'd go ahead and do that as quickly as possible so we can get that rolling, and then later there'll be some information you'll get about how we're going to change that up a little bit and do it like we did for 40 or 50 years. It worked so well. If you have any questions about dues, I'd be glad to try to answer them. If you have any questions about the checkbook or the money we spent in the off season, I'd be glad to try to answer that too. It's your money. I'd be glad to show you anything that we've done. Please, if you have any questions, especially if you're new to this chapter, don't hesitate to ask. We want you to have all your questions answered. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, he said, what always can you pay me? Good old hard-earned cash is always good. If you write a check, write it to Tyler Chapter, $35. We also have a PayPal account. You can pay on the PayPal account, and I believe that button is still on the tylerrefs.org website. You pay it on that website, they'll take $1 or $2 out of there, but we'll get the rest of it. So PayPal, check, cash, any way you'd like to do it to make it easy.
All right, thank you. Stephen, sub-varsity secretary and fill-in varsity secretary for tonight. Oh, and he's going to go over what some other guys in our chapter has been able to do in other sports.
Oh, I am. Okay. My name's Stephen O'Neill. I'm the sub-varsity assigner. For those of you new, my day job is I work at this church. We're happy to be able to host these meetings. Just a couple of commercials just to keep the rest of my church people happy. If you would, the men's restroom is over here down this hallway. This sounds basic, but if you use the restroom, please flush the toilet. And if you mess up the restroom, please kind of clean it up. We've got some ladies that clean the church that last year I got in trouble after our first meeting. So I don't want to get in trouble tomorrow. But please just take care of it. The church is happy and excited to get the facilities used, and we like hosting things here, but we also just want to respect the facilities. Before I talk about football, I'll talk a little bit about baseball. I am the assigner for our local baseball chapter, and we had several members of our football chapter get to do some pretty cool things in baseball this year, and just want to recognize those guys. We were able to send a crew to the TAPS state tournament. Ben Schaefer, who's a football official, Jeff Jenkins, Brett Gilpatrick, and there was one other, Carl Tapley were on that crew. So if you see those guys, you can congratulate them. We also sent a crew to go work a UIL state baseball semifinal game. Jeff Jenkins, who else was on that crew? I've slept a lot. Ben was on that crew. Those are the only two football guys on that crew? Joe, yeah, those only two football guys was Ben and Jeff. And then we also, Kelly Talent, I don't think Kelly's here. Kelly got to work the 6A UIL state championship game. So that was pretty cool. Most chapters don't get to do all that stuff every year, so it was kind of cool for our baseball chapter. And if you, after football's over, if you want to come call a different sport, we would love to have you in baseball. We've got a great baseball chapter, and we'd love to have more umpires. But I'm also the sub-varsity assigner here for football. My first year in the role, I'm taking over for Jeremy, and I'm excited about it. If I can do anything to help you officiate more sub-varsity football games, please let me know. Jeremy's given me a lot of the cheat sheets that he had from some of the older members, some of your preferences and stuff, but we have mainly games on Thursdays, and we also have a few games on Mondays and Tuesdays in different places. So especially if you want to work Monday and Tuesday, let me know, and I'll make sure I get you plugged into some of those games. Most everybody gets to work on Thursdays just because we have to cover all the games. But please, I want to assign you as close as I can to where you live and where you work. There's no sense in you driving past 10 football stadiums on the way to a game. So I'm going to try to continue the stuff that Jeremy's done the last few years. You new guys, I know they talked, I think they showed you Arbiter a little bit tonight, but as you get in that, yes? Oh, I thought you were trying to get my attention. Oh, no. But you'll learn Arbiter, older guys that have been in. If you'd go in and start putting your blocks in Arbiter, just so if you know weeks you can't work, the schedule will be uploaded into the system pretty soon. I know Jeremy's not here tonight, but he's already uploaded. I believe all the varsity games are in Arbiter, and he's starting to put some of the crews in. So you may see some assignments come popping up. I don't think he's published them yet, but you may see your varsity games coming up. But if you have any questions about anything assigning wise, you can see me tonight. I'll be up in the sound booth, and I can relay some questions to Jeremy as well. But we're excited about the season. The coaches are excited. They're sending me schedules every day right now, so it's going to be good stuff. Anybody got any assigning questions, like for the whole group, I could answer? Awesome.
All right, thank you. All right, Lance, are you ready?
All right, if you are a new member, first time Tyler chapter, raise your hand. Brand new member coming in. Look at them hands. I'm digging it. Y'all give them a round of applause for showing up. That's a good deal. For the chapter, well, just give you a quick update here. The board approved some expenditures this year, aside from what we've done in the past for advertising on the recruiting side. We're doing a lot of, if you're on Facebook, you've probably seen a lot of Facebook ads, some posts that I've asked Kurt to help out with. He has done a fantastic job for us, for me for sure. We've had numerous lunches, meetings, texts, phone calls, trying to figure out a better way to recruit officials and the right officials, really targeting things. So we were able to get through Facebook with a Tyler Chapter football ad. Very inexpensive, to be honest with you, considering the kind of mileage you get out of it. But to date, we've had 28 contacts that have directly contacted me about attending either this meeting or next week's meeting, which would be the highest recruiting class that we've had if they all pop up. And that's outside of anybody that you guys bring individually. Obviously, on the retaining side, members that current members bring in, if you know somebody, bring them out. If you've talked to somebody about it, bring them out. We're talking about getting business cards made for the Tyler chapter, that if you talk to someone, meet somebody, have someone in your family, a friend, relative, whatever it is, where you meet them, you can hand them a card and say, call or come to this meeting, or here's a phone number, here's an email address for more information. That would be extremely helpful. The ones that we bring in, if you bring in a friend, or you bring in a coworker, someone along those lines, those are the ones that typically stay. We have good new members retainage, but the ones that typically stay the most are the ones that know someone already in this chapter. I'm hoping and I'm very confident that the mentor program that we have set up will help alleviate that delta between those two groups. So we've got a very good recruiting class coming in this year. We're excited about it. I'm very excited about it, and we're going to need them. If you've looked at the schedule, seen the schedule, you'll see a lot more 7-man crews that are going to be working regular season stuff. That's the way that this thing appears to be moving. Coaches are all in for it, most of them anyway, are all in for 7-man crews. which means we got to put two more guys on the field on a Friday night, which means we need 2 more guys on the field for a Friday night. So we need more members. So it's exciting that we've got a good class coming in this year. It's what we were shooting for, and it's worked so far, and we're excited about that. Tonight I'm going to go over the 2021 mechanics, rule changes, and some editorial changes also that will affect a couple of things. We'll go through these. If you have any questions, just stop and ask. I don't really want to get down in the weeds on rules or anything like that tonight. We will cover these more extensively as they go forward. But there are 2 extremely large rule changes this year that everyone in this room is going to need to be aware of. Because if you mess these 2 rules up, everyone in the world is going to know about it, okay? Especially with social media out there these days. So let me find just the clicker here. Stephen, is this the clicker? Yes. All right. There we go. All right, we'll start with the rule changes, okay? It's not a rule change year, so there's not a ton of them, but there were some, and they're big. So we'll go with the first one here. It's kind of what we figured was going to happen. The team area and coaching box is now extended to the 20-yard line, full time. We gave it to them for 1 year because of COVID, and we knew we were never going to get it back, right? I knew, every official knew it was going to happen. They're not going to want to give it back, and they're not giving it back. So no more 25 to 25. It's now the 20 to the 20, okay? Now, it's been easy in the past if you're working the wing or a referee or basically any position, but mostly for the wing guys, that if you were working the wing, I could always look back, and if you're standing in the wide, I'm okay. Well, now I'm not going to be able to tell because I got 5 more yards, and I promise you they're not going to fix all these turf fields to show a white spot to the 20-yard line. So now they're to the 20. So however you guys want to handle that as a crew, you can. Most of us use O2Os, the official-to-official communication system on our hips. So maybe your umpire can look and go, hey, man, he's like 30 yards down the field. We're going to get this or not? Hey, he's on the 15, not the 20. Maybe he can let the line judge or the headline judge know now. But yeah, they're going to go from the 20 to the 20 now, okay? So don't flag a coach if he's on the 21-yard line. He can do that. Yes, sir. It says the team area and coaching box. Yep. Team area and coaching box. So, but, if you think about it, guys that have been officiating a long time, the 25 really meant the what to those coaches? The 20? So what's the 20 going to mean? The 15? And before you know it, they're going to be down there at the pylon with us. We cannot allow that, guys. Okay? We're giving you 5 yards, coach, that you really didn't earn. So please stay inside that. 20 to 20, okay? 20 to 20. All right, these next 2 are big, guys. Beginning with the UIL did not make an exception to this, okay? They did not make an exception. The beginning with the 3rd extra period, a team's possession series will be 1 play for a 2-point try. Okay, so if we are in overtime, when did it start last year? When did we go for 2 points last year? Yeah, Carl? When did we start the 5th overtime? Okay, they're trying to speed the end of the game up. Okay, so last year, you get to the 3rd overtime, they got to go for what? If they score a touchdown, they got to go for 2. If they got to the 5th overtime, they had to do what? 2 points, right? They had to go for it, right? Now, it's not the 5th, it's the 3rd. Okay? So the 3rd period of overtime, the series will be 1 play for a 2-point try. We're not going back to the 25. We're not doing that. We're going right there, 1 play for a 2-point try. Okay? Beginning with the 2nd extra period. We're talking about the 2nd overtime, the 2nd inning. Beginning with the 2nd extra period, teams scoring a touchdown must attempt a 2-point try. So they sped that up too. Used to be the 3rd, now it's the 2nd. Now the 3rd, we're going for 2. So you're really only going to have, as it's used to stand, 1 overtime period that has been a typical overtime period, where you can score a touchdown from the 25 and kick an extra point, and it all count. Because starting on the 2nd one, They can score the touchdown, but they got to go for 2. Can they still kick an extra point? Sure, but the point's not going to matter. Okay? I can't tell you how important it is if you get in a game that goes into overtime to have this discussion with coaches. Have it with them. I will be covering it in my pregame with the coach. Referees, when you go to your pregame with your coach, I have a spot on my pregame sheet that I follow that says rule changes. And I ask the coach, even in week 10, 11, 14, it don't matter. I ask the coach, Coach, are you familiar with the new changes of the rules in 2021 regarding overtime? You tell me yes or no. Okay? If he says yes, no problem. All's good. Are we going to meet with the coaches before we start overtime after regulation's over? Yes, we will meet with the head coaches also. And we'll go over all this at that point again. But make sure, guys, that we're talking to these coaches about these overtime rules, referees especially, in your pregame, because these are 2 big rule changes as it pertains to overtime. And the second that we forget or don't know them, you're going to get into an overtime game. Okay? Any questions about these? Trying to speed the game up on us, aren't they? All right. Those were the ones that pertain to high school football. Okay? All right. Let's go to the editorial changes here. And there's quite a few of them, guys. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on them. The first one is they add lightning system operators to persons subject to the rules. Okay? It's pretty clear in my mind, in high school anyway. College is a different story, but in high school, if I've got people on that sideline, they're all going to be subject to the rules. Okay? But now NCAA has added that lightning system operators are now persons subject to the rules. Medical staff are exempted from the number of team area credential restrictions. Okay, so if you go to a game that it's a media game or whatever it is, and they can only have a certain amount of people on the sidelines, media does not take up a credential pass for somebody else. So if there was 50 of them out there, if you only had 50, you can have 53 if you've got 3 medical guys out there. Does that make sense? Okay, so they're not taking up credential passes on the sideline. Yes? Yeah, lighting system. Yeah, who controls the lights? Yeah. Or for that matter, the scoreboard or the Jumbotron. Yeah, whatever they got out there. Yeah, the lighting system. 132A, the number of game balls offered to play has increased to 10. What did it used to be? 6. They can check 10 balls now. No inclement weather, they can still check 10 balls. Okay? Everybody checking balls before games? Everybody goes, they got a marker and a gauge and a pump and they're checking balls? Okay. All right. Now, I can tell you this, Bobby, I can come behind your crew and work Corsicana the Friday night after you do, and those balls have 9 pounds of air in them. But you put 13 in them, right? Or 12 and a half anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're not going to be the ball police, but I'll check them and say we did it and put our little mark on them and we'll move forward. But we're going to have to do it 10 times now instead of 6. Okay? We'll have to let air out of 10 balls now instead of 6. This is a big one because we're seeing a lot more of this one, guys. The undergarments may not extend below the waistline. A lot of times we'll see those jerseys, they wear those tight jerseys and they stop right here, right? Or that t-shirt goes down to right here, right? It goes all the way down here. They got to get those t-shirts tucked in. If it's not a jersey, it's got to be tucked in or cut or something, but it cannot extend past that jersey line. Yes? Cut the shirt, you better cut the shirt below the jersey. Yeah. Yeah, oh, I hear you. Yeah. I don't want to see a t-shirt under that jersey. That's what I'm going to tell the coach or the trainer or whoever's going to take care of it. Okay? Because I can assure you what's going to happen is that we're not going to see it or we're not going to enforce it, and some kid's going to get tackled by that white t-shirt as he drags somebody into the end zone with him at the 1-yard line. That's my luck. And he's not even supposed to have that t-shirt on. So t-shirts, they may not extend below the waistline. They clarified the microphones attached to the head coach. They're prohibited during live broadcast. This is for media broadcast, okay? I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but UIL has approved them to stream football games again this year, like they did last year. So they'll be able to stream football games on the internet. What this is saying is that a live mic, a clarified microphone attached to the head coach is not prohibited during the game. Okay, once the game's over, they want to put it on and do an interview with him, that's fine, but he cannot have a microphone on his collar during a football game if that game is being streamed. Okay? The definition of official to official O2O communication has been added. That's really not a big one. We've known that they've been out there. Doesn't change anything that we've done with our O2Os, guys. Clarification for use of a T on a free kick. This is actually an interesting one. If utilized, a T must be in contact with the ball. So you can't go, the kicker can't go out there and set a T on the 40-yard line right here and then move the ball right here and do an onside kick. You either got to get rid of the T or that ball's got to be in contact with the T. Okay? And I actually asked Mike Wise what would be the foul for that. Anybody got a guess? Illegal procedure. Boy, there's no God dog. John Sharp. Bobby, that's your man. Okay. I haven't got a response from him yet. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. He has not responded yet. He's probably trying to find out what it is himself. So it would be a 5-yard foul. That much I do know. It would be a 5-yard penalty. I just don't know if it would be an illegal formation, an illegal kick if you kick the ball. I don't know what it would be. So, but as soon as I find out, you guys will know. No, we're not going to let him run the play. No. My back judge is I'm going to get on him. Hey, that ball's not touching the tee. He needs to move it up to his tee. I'm not going to let this play happen. Okay. Don't let the kid kick the ball if it's not touching the tee, if he's got a tee out there. Okay? All right, this was another one that was added here. Offended team option added when a period is not extended. Okay? So at the option of the offended team, the period is not extended if the foul is by the team in possession and the penalty included a loss of down. So we're actually going to give that team an option now. The offended team will have an option of either replaying that down, one untimed down, or just declining it and moving on. So an offended team option added when a period is not extended. So what if we have an accepted penalty at the end of the first quarter, what do we have? What are we going to do? One untimed down, right? Okay? But if that foul at the option of the offended team, if that foul is by the team in possession, let's say it was offensive pass interference, okay, they would not be eligible for this because it doesn't what? It doesn't carry a loss of down. What if it's intentional grounding? It does carry a loss of down. So now that team has an option. Do we want to extend that period, or do you want to just go ahead and roll into the second quarter? We're going to actually give them an option now. Okay? There was on 345, which everybody needs to know. At 345, if you don't know this rule, we'll go ahead and write it down right now and get in your rule book tonight and watch it and look at it. But it's a 10-second runoff. They've actually added a summary in their rule book for it. It's kind of cool on what qualifies for a 10-second runoff, just in addition into the rule book. 513A, clarified forward progress point on a catch. Okay, 513A. Jeff, you've got your book open, don't you? Is that the new book? Go to 513A. I want you to read it out loud. Rule 5, Article 1. It's actually a good one. 513A, it'll be highlighted. There you go. Come here, Jeff. Take this, brother. Read that for me.
Hold on, I gotta get to 3. Oh shit, where's 3? One. 3A, okay, your forward progress?
Blue highlighted front.
Well, that's not what I want, okay.
When an airborne pass receiver of either team completes a catch inbounds after an opponent has driven the receiver backwards and the ball is declared dead at the spot of the catch, the forward progress is where the player gained and maintained firm control of the ball.
All right, so that, basically they put in language there, guys, that just tells you, so if I get caught, if I catch a ball and I complete a catch here, but I'm bobbling and I catch it here and get driven back, we're not gonna go to the very first part of where I touched that football, right? We're gonna get where I had firm possession of the football. That's gonna be the forward progress spot. They actually clarified that this year, okay? It's where the catch was completed, where I had firm possession of it. Okay? Handling the ball forward, they added, in quotations here, they added, and the player handing the ball forward has not had their entire body beyond the neutral zone. Okay? So if I'm the quarterback and I'm going to fake a sneak and I cross the line of scrimmage, my entire body, guys, has to be across, not just the ball, my entire body. And then I step back and hand the ball off forward to a receiver that's coming around. We've got a foul, right? So they actually added, and the player handing the ball forward has not had their entire body beyond the line of scrimmage or beyond the neutral zone. 9111D added apparent kick and leverage and leaping rule. So it says no defensive player in an attempt to block, bat, or catch a kick. And they added or apparent kick. So the leaping and the leverage rule, we've talked about that in the past. They actually added or an apparent kick. Okay? Clarified the video, audio, lighting operators obstructing play. Basically, they're going to be under the same rules of anyone else on that sideline. They added persons subject to the rules interfering with play. Apparently, somewhere down the line last year, some nincompoop on the sideline interfered with a running back or somebody running down the sideline. I don't know, but there was a lot of changes on this side of the ball here. 1025B, penalty enforcement for defensive pass interference on the try. They added on or inside the 3-yard line are enforced 1/2 the distance to the goal line. If the try is successful, obviously the penalty is declined by rule. So they added on or inside, because when do we go half the distance on a DPI? There's only a certain amount of times we're going to do it, right? When do we go half the distance? Once we're 3 or in, right? 3 or in. Okay? We'll go over the points of emphasis this year. They're very similar to what they have been in the past. A couple of changes, but no rules or editorial or anything like that. These are just things that they're wanting us to pay close attention to this year. They call them points of emphasis. This one will probably be on here forever, it seems like. But targeting and protection of defenseless players, that's still a big deal, guys. They're still trying to get those hits out of the game. Make sure there's 2 types of targeting now, right? They gave us an out, right, with a non-flagrant, which is just a 15-yard penalty. 2 of them equal what? Disqualification, right? But they gave us an out allowing for that 15-yarder because we weren't calling it because it was such a big foul. We call targeting, we're fixing to kick a kid out of the game, or he just kicked himself out of the game. But if our judgment's wrong, we don't have the luxury of guys on Saturday and Sunday. We don't get to replay these things. So we call it, the kid's out. So they gave us an option of a non-flagrant, which would just be a 15-yard penalty, but the kid gets to stay in. Well, we called more of them last year, but in the eyes of some, not enough. Okay? We're only going to call the ones that we see, right? We're not going to make these things up. But they do want this to continue to be a point of emphasis for us to make sure that we understand what a defenseless player looks like, that we understand the types of targeting that we had. Did he crouch? Did he leap? Did he leave with the crown of his helmet? Things like that. Did he target above the neck area or above the shoulder area? Those are the things that they're wanting us to make sure that we're focusing on during the game. I would suspect that targeting and these kind of hits are going to continue to be a point of emphasis for us. Concussions and using good judgment on the field and identifying possible injured players. Anybody ever done that before? Has anyone ever sent a player off because he was woozy, because he looked funny? Absolutely, guys. Okay, you see a kid get up after he got hit and he's kind of, a little dazed or kind of, jelly-legged. Guys, coaches are looking at books. They're talking to guys in the booth. They've got things that they're doing, right? Okay, if he's right there beside you or he's in front of you, it's up to us, being responsible adults, to tell that coach, his kid needs to come out. He needs to go see somebody or he needs to come out for a play. He needs to take a breather, okay? If you see a kid walking to the wrong sideline, that's a red flag, guys, okay? Something's probably not right with that kid right now. Let's get him off, okay? But just using good judgment and identifying players that probably need some medical attention, they want us to continue to do a good job of that. UNS and taunting. Strict on taunting actions directed towards players at opposing team. This has actually been a point of emphasis before, but more, anything directed at a specific player or at a team sideline, they want us to be strict on calling those. We're not going to give so much leeway as somebody that does, the muscle or rip off the Superman shirt or whatever those guys do now, cut throat and all that. If they do that at a specific player, it's a foul, okay? They're trying to cut down on what could potentially be an issue between two players or two teams. Again, use good judgment. Sideline control, again, this has been up there for 20 years now, making sure we're keeping coaches back. It's gonna be a big deal this year since the boxes have been extended to the 20-yard line now. Keeping those sidelines back, keeping the coaches back, keeping the players back. But the most important in my eyes is for us to be as uniform as we possibly can in enforcing this, okay? All right, raise your hand if you have ever thrown a sideline warning. Okay. I hope that I'm seeing the majority of hands go up, okay? If you never have, this year's the opportunity, because I promise you, if you work 11 or 12, 13, 15 games, whatever you work, you're going to have an opportunity to get a coach back at some point in time, and that's during the season, okay? Let's be uniform on how we handle our sidelines. Uniform and equipment compliance. Again, I'm not a fan of being the uniform police out there, but any kind of major equipment, major uniform issues, that the T-shirt or the undergarment not being below the waistline is going to be a big deal this year. Knee pads are continuing to be a big deal this year. It seems like these players are getting out there in bicycle shorts now more than they are football pants. And those knee pads are actually up here at the thighs if they have them in at all. Just make sure they've got, number one, they've got knee pads in their pants and keep them down around their knees, okay? And then illegal contact against the quarterback or passer. This was in 2 years ago or 3 years ago, with the quarterback position being what they consider to be a defenseless position during a down. They're going to continue to focus on the quarterback and passer. Understand, any hit, any initial contact above the shoulders is going to be a foul for roughing the passer, even if it's not targeting. Okay, he cannot be hit above them shoulders. Okay, and the forcible contact to a quarterback cannot be below the knee. Okay, so if we have somebody that's going into tackle the quarterback, and he dives and he hits his initial contact, even if he's got his arms out like he's going to try to wrap his legs up, if that initial force is below that knee, we have roughing the passer. Okay, they want that called. Okay, all right. I think this might be the last slide, the last couple slides. The mechanic changes this year. There's just a couple of them that are going to kind of pertain to what we do here. The first one, for the referee, they've modified the position. So before the snap, for the R on scrimmage kick or punt plays to be slightly behind the punter, no more than 5 yards. Okay, so Gary, stand up for me real quick. Come here. You stand right here. Thank you. So the old mechanic was You're a right-footed punter, right? Okay, good. I hope so, because I'm on the wrong side if you're not. Right-footed punter, I'm going to be right here, kind of even with him. Okay, as a referee, they've said now that we can get up to 5 yards behind him and to his side, which I actually like a lot more because now I can see the line, right? I can see blocks up here. I can see the up back that's going to try to maybe cut that guy down low. So they're actually letting us get up to 5 yards behind the punter. Thank you, Gary. Up to 5 yards behind the punter now, and to the kicking leg side of him. I actually like this a lot. I like that one a lot. Here's another big one. They've modified the positioning of the umpire. You're going to adjust to the field position 8 to 10 yards deep on Team B sideline, on Team B side of the line of scrimmage. So you're going back. You were back there with the referee. Now you're back on the defensive side. Okay? I guess the umpires complained enough. They got their way. They're going to go back to the B side of the ball. Okay? I'm going to miss him back there with me because he was always at 10 yards, so I would always look at my punter, and if he was at him or behind him, I knew we were in legal scrimmage kick formation, right? But he's not going to be there, so now I got to count 10 yards every single time. But you'll be back on the B side of the line of scrimmage, umpires. 10-second runoffs. They have created a signal now for the 10-second runoff. So if you are at a stadium that you are not mic'd up, there's no mic. They've created a signal for the referee that he can use to signal to the clock operator for a 10-second runoff. 2 hands out, flashing all 10 fingers. Okay, so it's right here. 10-second runoff. Okay. Again, if you do not have a mic in use, that's when we'll use that signal, okay? No reason to use that signal if you've got a mic. Back judges, are we still meeting with the clock operators as much as we can before we kick off? This is something you're going to want to go over with the clock operator, back judges, when you meet with them, or if they come to your locker room or whatever, that there's a new signal for a 10-second runoff. If we get into a situation where we have a 10-second runoff, that if you see me give this signal, or if you see the referee give this signal, we need to deduct 10 seconds off the clock. Okay, make sure we're covering that in our pregame with the clock operator, guys. And now there is no more head linesman. It is now the headline judge. The head linesman's title has changed to the headline judge, but it is still the H. So no need to buy new shirts. There's not new letterings or anything like that. It's just now still the H, but there's no head linesman. It's headline judge. I'm not going to get into the political reasons of why it's the headline judge. I'm just going to tell you it's the headline judge. Okay? Any questions, guys? That's it. Those overtime rules are big, guys. Those are huge. Huge rules on the overtime side. The mechanic changes, umpires, you're back on that side on a punt. Make sure we're back there and not on this side with the referee. And then go through your editorial changes, guys. If you look in the rule book, I think it's the second or third page, it will tell you major rule changes. And I think you have to flip the page, and on this side is the editorial changes that will show you what's been changed in the editorial. It gives you the rule reference and everything so you can go to it. All changes in the rule book every year are highlighted in blue. So if you're flipping through the rule book and you see something blue, that language or that rule or that editorial was changed from 2020. Okay? Anything in blue is a change. Any questions? New members, excited to have you guys here. Looking forward to working with you. If you're a returning member, if you see a guy you don't recognize, you see a new member around here, shake his hand, make him feel welcome. He's going to have a lot of fun. He's going to help us. They all will help us throughout this season, especially on Thursday nights. Get through without a hitch, guys. So thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, Lance. All right, one last thing. We're going to be posting and sending out an email our bylaws. We went through them and made a few changes, and we got to publish them to you guys for 30 days before we can vote on them. So next week, you can have them a few days at the end of this week to kind of read over them, see what you see what the changes are, and then we'll go over them next week and tell you exactly what all it is. It's not anything real exciting, so we'll go over that next week, but we'll get them sent to you this week sometime through the Arbiter account, and we'll post them on our website also. Other than that, is there any questions or anything that anybody has? Yes. The test is open. You can start taking your test. Yes, the state meeting is only going to be online this year again, like last year, and it's the 31st. And so you can go to the state meeting and get your meeting out of the way, and you have to have it watched before you can get on the field. And so might as well watch it and get it over with. Yes, if you watch it live, it's 50. If you postpone and watch it at your own, any other time, it's more. I think it was 75. No, Tasso's not sanctioning any local meetings like for that, and so we're not doing it since it's not a sanctioned event from Tasso. Yes, the only thing you can do is the online. Okay. Hey, if you're a new member and you have the new member form, please turn it in to Stephen back there in the back so we can get your information and make sure that you get on our emails and reminds and all that kind of stuff. Meeting next week. Yes. Meeting next week. Same thing, 5:30 for new guys. And new guys is anybody. We had guys in there from 20 years going to it. You can always pick up something good at the meeting. Scotty does a great job at it. Anything else? No? Hey, get with your crew, spend a little bit of time, make sure everybody's healthy and good and happy, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.